Good evening to everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. This is kind of a special meeting. We did not have this planned as a leadership chat, but one of the things that we've been hearing in recent weeks and since the announcement that Portal Buzz will be discontinuing their subscription services as of February 29th, I've had some of you reach out and say, hey, what's the options? What should we do? And so we just thought as a district it would be good to have this special meeting and as a time for question and answer. I don't know, I've been asked, hey, what do you recommend or what's the answers? And I don't know if we can give you definitive, it's X, Y, and Z, but we can certainly have a discussion. We can present options. We can do a question and answer. And then obviously we can do follow-up and resources as well. So just to start off, I think I recognize most of the names and faces on here, but just for a few that don't, Lisa Prokachek, you're a district administrator. I do want to get started with a couple introductions. So you know who is present this evening from the district and in the international level. And I guess I would just ask if I introduce you now, just to say a word, just say hello, so that the folks watching can your box will light up. So first off, and I will give Dale, actually, you a chance if you want to say more than just hello. Governor Dale Dowden is with us this evening. Dale, you want to say hello and anything else you want to add?
I'd be happy to say hello. It's good to see so many people on the call. Obviously, it's a topic of interest. And I intend to just sit here because this is not my specialty. So hopefully you get all your questions answered.
Okay. Thank you, Dale. All right. We also have with us this evening from the international office is Bryce Kinder. Bryce, I didn't even know what your current title is. So if you want to share that with us, that'd be great.
Sure. Thanks, Lisa. Hello, everybody. Many of you I think I've spoken to in the past, but for those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Bryce Kinder. I am on staff at the Kiwanis International office. I'm currently in the position of Member Experience Technology Engineer, which is just a fancy way of saying that I serve as sort of the member advocate on the I-Team team, so that technology that we create within the Information Technology Department of Kiwanis International, that technology has the member and club leader interest in mind. I've been in a member support position for over 21 years with the organization, and so I try to leverage the feedback that I've received from some of you and from your peers in the volunteer group to make sure that what we build from a technology standpoint takes into account your input and feedback and what you need for your clubs and for your district. And so that's my role. And so I've been involved in the Portal Buzz transition since the announcement was been made. And so hopefully I can answer any questions that we may have gaps on today.
Thank you, Bryce. And again, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to be with us here. So, okay. We also have with us this evening our current webmaster, Ron Petch.
Portal Buzz has been around. I guess it came on the scene the year between Don and I as governors. And so we kind of worked on that together to get things transferred from our old system to the new Portal Buzz system. It's worked perfectly. We've had a lot of good experience with it. I think, unfortunately, as I talk to people, and maybe that's one of the reasons it's going away, I think many clubs and people did not realize the power of that option, because now as we look at future options, we are finding that there's nothing that's going to come close to replacing Portal Buzz, even if it's in 3 or 4 parts.
Thanks, Ron. Couple of your district officers also on this evening. I don't want to miss past Governor Linda. Thanks for joining us this evening. And district, if you want to say something, go ahead.
No, it's just great to see so many people on, and I've worked with Bryce a couple times, and if there's anybody who can help us through this transition, it's Bryce. So Bryce, thank you for coming on and helping us this evening.
My pleasure.
District Treasurer Kurt is on this evening. He may have a club interest, but he's an officer. Want to make sure we get you introduced.
That's probably my main reason for being here is, yes, we're currently using the Portal Bus platform. So just here checking it out.
And the other one I wanted to point out, and he will be sharing some information as well. I think he's on now, is Byron Tabor. Byron signed on a couple years back to be a trainer for our district of the WordPress that's being offered from KI. So Byron, if you just want to say hey now, we'll give you some time later on too. So
yeah, no, it's got a computer science background. I was one of the first ones to get on Portal Buzz and one of the first ones to get off. So yeah, understand things, and I could not get my 2 clubs to actually use a lot of the back office stuff that Ron was talking about. So yeah, that's how I ended up here.
okay, all right. Well, we do have, thank you, Byron. We do have quite a few on this evening. I think it makes it a little bit harder to get everybody introduced when we got a bigger group. I see most of you have the names on the screen, so hopefully you can all see that. I will get a list of who is on tonight to this group, because I know sometimes there's no better resource than one another in our own clubs to be able to network back and forth. So we'll get that sent out after the meeting as well. So to start things off, I think we're going to start with the discussion on what is available in the form of WordPress. As I mentioned, we're not here as the district tonight to make any recommendations. It is up to the clubs to choose what is going to work best for you moving forward. We want to make sure you've got this information and resources. I can tell you that, yes, the district has had Portal Buzz, and we are moving forward. We're in the process of transitioning over to WordPress. So that's why we want to start off and give that information out. And I guess I would turn it over now to Bryce, if you want to share some information about that, and I'm sure Byron can chime in as well.
Sure, I'm happy to. Well, I appreciate everybody joining. I assume that a good portion of you are probably your clubs or Portal Buzz subscribers. I imagine that's probably why you've come on tonight. And Ron, I appreciate your input on your experience with Portal Buzz. I'm glad it's been so effective for you all. And that's certainly something we've heard back from a lot of clubs as well. This was quite shocking to them. Was shocking to KI really as well. It was our understanding that Portal Buzz was going to continue with service, even if some of the integration that you've experienced with between Portal Buzz and the KI database, even when that might change, it was our understanding that Portal Buzz was still going to offer their services because they have other features that you might utilize as well. And so when they indicated that they'd be stopping service in February of 2024 for all of their clients, not just for Kiwanis, but for all of their others, we were quite surprised. And so it's left us working to try to fill some of the gaps for features that you have in Portal Buzz. But I'd like to maybe just talk a little bit about what the short term looks like. So post February of 2024, right after that, and then what the long term solution looks like as part of that. So In the short term, when February comes around and Portal Buzz ends, we'll have two main resources for clubs and districts to utilize. One will be the Kiwanis WordPress sites. Those are free to those that sign up for them. They have no cost to you. And they have a wealth of different features as part of that. And we can talk about what those features are here in a little bit. And that would take care of several aspects that you experience in Portal Buzz now. So you obviously, it would give you a public website as well. It has calendar integration that allows you to integrate social media, specifically your Facebook feed. So if your club has a Facebook page for your club, you can integrate that in so that your posts show up directly on the website. It has you do have the ability to store files on the website. Now there isn't, and we can talk about limitations as well, but currently there's no plugin that allows you to have a file structure or a directory as part of that. And that's one thing that we're trying to address right now, but it does allow you to store files, post newsletters or photographs or things like that. It has a very robust forms integration. So complementary with every site that is spun up. We have a plugin, a premium version of a plugin called Gravity Forms. And that form can be leveraged to do a lot of creative different things. You can use it for something as simple as a membership interest form. You can, step that up to a membership application. You can use it for donation forms. So if you have individuals that want to donate to the club, you can take information and payment through there. It does have payment integration as well. You can do event management through there also. So if you have a meeting that you have people registering for, maybe that has a registration fee. You can utilize that to handle that as part of it. If you sell things, if your club sells things, let's say they sell holiday wreaths, you can create an order form that you can attach inventory to and sell that item through there and collect payment as part of that. So lots of creative things you can do with that built-in form integration as part of that. So the sites are secure and stable. They're easy to manage, or we have tried to make them as easy as possible. KI handles all the administration from the standpoint of provisioning your site, applying updates when they come through on WordPress, applying updates for the plugins that are used as well. And so all of that is handled by the KI side. Really, the clubs just kind of focus on the content portion of it also. And so the WordPress sites can be used for a lot of different pieces, some of which you're already doing in Portal Buzz. The other resource or the other piece of technology that clubs can utilize is the Kiwanis reporting site, Kiwanis Connect. Now, all of those of you that have been secretaries or presidents in the past, you're probably familiar with the reporting site. That's where you go in to update your membership, do your monthly reports. You can update your officers on there, list your meeting location information, pull off your bills, your dues and new member fee invoices from Kiwanis. So the Kiwanis reporting site will still be available post February of 2024. You'll still be able to do member management through there as well. So you'll notice in talking about that, there are some features that I haven't mentioned that you have in Portal Buzz. And I'll name the three of them that really clubs have brought to us the most. One is blast email communication, the ability to email out to your members. The second one would be service and attendance tracking for your members. And then third would be individual billing for your member dues, if you bill out your members as part of that. So you'll notice I haven't said anything about those, and those features aren't something that we expect to have in the WordPress site, and that we'll have to help clubs figure out a stopgap measure for. We can certainly talk about that if time allows us to, kind of what those features are. So let's segue into long-term, what the long-term situation looks like. So KI is committed to, within the 2024 year, the WordPress sites will still be available and will still serve as your public face to, within the internet space. So if a visitor wants to come and check out your club, they'll have that information. But Kiwanis is currently working on a build out of a replacement for the Kiwanis reporting site. The current one, which is called Kiwanis Connect, will be replaced by a new enhanced reporting site called Kiwanis Engage. And I'm sure several of you have heard of Kiwanis Engage. We've been talking about it for a while because we've been working on it for a while. It's taken quite some time. COVID threw that process for a loop, just as it did for a lot of other industries as part of that. But we're committed to launching that in 2024. And when that launches, we expect that will have 2 of the 3 features that I just talked about. You will be able to mass email from Kiwanis Engage. So you'll have your member list there. You'll be able to blow out emails to individuals within your roster, whether that be a member or a non-member, like a guest. And also we expect that you'll be able to track service hours and attendance as part of that as well. In regards to billing individual dues, if that is a feature that we offer, it probably will not be until on down the line, and only because each club and the amount that they bill and the schedule that they bill on is very complex. Some of you include meals as part of your dues amount. Some of you have assessments and fees as part of that, and it would be very difficult for us to codify everything that a club might wish to include as part of that. So if there's an individual billing feature, it certainly won't be when we go live, and it'll probably be on down the road as part of that. So when we're talking about solutions, I just want to be candid that there's a short-term solution and there's a long-term solution as well. To help you, I know I threw out a bunch of information there in the chat. I have put a link to a resource that might help you. This is a platform feature comparison matrix or chart that we have created. And this will show you the type of functionality that each system offers. So you'll see what PortalBuzz has offered, and then you'll see what Kiwanis technology is going to be, either offers it now or is going to be able to offer it in the near future as part of that. So I know that's a lot of information. I'll kind of step back, and Byron, I'm sure you've got some input as part of that as well, or maybe your experience with working on with the club sites or whatnot, and how clubs can leverage it. But I'm certainly here to answer questions as they come up.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Bryce. All right. He covered things pretty well. The one thing I always like to make sure everybody understands is that what you're getting with the free system is a public facing website, and that's it. None of the back office stuff is out there, which, in my experience, my clubs, we bought these things. I jumped on it. Oh, great. We got this website, because I had been doing it by hand, and jumped on that. This is great. I could not get either one of my clubs to adopt a lot of that back office technology to the point that it was useful, right? If you have half the people sign up for stuff and then the other half just show up, it's hard to, we never did take advantage of all that back office stuff. And then as the prices went up, we just dropped out, because that wasn't worth it. Basically we were paying a lot of money to just have a website. So I try to stress that for everybody. Bryce covered that pretty well, is that for all the stuff, if your club did actually take advantage of some of those features, you're going to have to kind of reinvent things. What I've done to take care of some of that stuff is I created a Gmail account for our club and set up a list of contacts with all the members. So kind of have to manage that list of contacts by hand, where, you know, Portal Buzz used to just know because it was integrated with the Kiwanis district or website stuff. So there's a little extra work there, but once you get into Gmail, once you get that set up, that's pretty easy to use that way. Also, the other thing about this is actually kind of easier to manage than the Portal Buzz website part. And some of that might have to do with me sort of redesigning it a little bit, because got on Portal Buzz before Facebook, I think, really became a big thing that it is today. And what I did was I was in 2 clubs doing the websites for the 2 clubs and put a Facebook post out and then have to go change the website to reflect that also. And then put a Facebook post out and change the website to reflect that. So there was a lot of running around to kind of keep the information fresh on the website. And after a while, I got smarter about, you know, you should put fairly static information on your website and use the Facebook feed to keep it fresh. I don't know if anybody's seen that a version of one of these sites. I don't know. Lisa, you want to let me share my screen?
Yeah, Byron, you should be able to go ahead.
Okay, give me a sec. More. Yeah, where's share screen? Share screen right there. And let's do that guy. Okay. So this is the site for Marion Metro. And everybody see that okay? Oh, nope, that's not. That's I picked the one that Bryce just gave us. All right, let me switch. Sorry, I got faked out. Share screen. Let's do better that one instead. Sorry, I clicked on Bryce's link to make sure I kept track of that. Okay, so now we're seeing our Kiwanis website here for Marion Metro, right? Good. Mike's got his hand up. Do you need something? Or M Reed. Sorry, I said Mike. Maybe it's not Mike.
No, it's Mark. You've you've emailed me. I haven't got back to you yet. I played around with what you have in the WordPress site. The question I have is, we own the URL derbytowncountykiwanis.org, and that domain is with GoDaddy and directed name service to Portal Buzz. So I see there, does that URL stay? Is what you
Yes.
have? It doesn't.
Okay, right there. That is one of the things that you can see this up at the top. We have our website name is marionmetrokiwanis.org. If you Google that, it will take you to this page, but it displays it displays the K number from your club, .site.kiwanis.org. I don't think there's any way to change that. Bryce can confirm or deny that. But because what we've got is each one of these websites that your clubs are getting are actually under the umbrella of the Kiwanis site.
Yeah,
server.
Yeah, I understand that. There's no way for our to point the name servers to that. It's its own identity, right?
Oh, well, if you Google Marion Metro, it will take you to this site. So you can have your name.
I mean, I think he's talking about whether or not the URL will show.
But it's always gonna say K156, even if you get to it through Google, click on the link that says Marion Metro Kiwanis.
But then I'll have to direct with that derbytowncountykiwanis.org. Once Portal Buzz is done, that thing's dead.
Yeah.
That is correct. You'll have to redirect your DNS. You have to change your
So
DNS.
do you have that DNS available, or is it something that?
Well, you've got the name registered right now because you got Portal Buzz and
Yeah, I just have to go into GoDaddy and point it.
Kiwanis. So what you do is you go to the data set or domain name service, and you tell it now, instead of going to Portal Buzz, we want to go to K15653.
All right. So therefore you answered my question. I
Yes.
go into GoDaddy and I point it to that.
That is very easy. In fact, we use
Oh, I know.
GoDaddy. It's a local company.
Yeah.
That's a very easy thing that will happen as soon as you go in and change it.
Yeah.
Google,
I
on the other
know
hand,
that. I just wanted to know what the process was in order for that to happen.
oh yeah, go to your
That I
GoDaddy
understand.
account and just change where you want it to go.
Yeah, that
And
I
give it-
understand. You clarified that for me. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Google's the other one that might take it a while to kind of catch up with the fact that you've changed things. So there are some
it should-
tricks that
it-
you can
it-
do to
it-
speed that up.
It should change depends on how long you've got the
With an
refresh.
hour.
Usually it's with an hour or a day, depending
Hour,
on what your
yeah.
settings are. But yes.
We also own .net and .info, so I've got those in another service.
Yeah.
Some South African bunch. Yeah, they're all right. But that works for a temporary thing until we decide what we want to do.
Yeah. No, we're good. So that's about the only actual thing that will look different when you switch from Portal Buzz to this. Outside of the fact that the page is going to look a little different because the content will be a little different, layout's a little different. But that's the one thing that people notice that's going to be different. But
well, just looking at this is fresh. This is fine. I was working with the Portal Buzz beta version, and I had that for quite some time, and it was pretty good, but mobile wise, it didn't display as well as I'd like. It was kind of hokey in some places. Its text wasn't clean, but this is fine. This is nothing wrong with this.
yeah, as part of working with Portal Buzz, they give you a dashboard, which is kind of like you'd be used to with Portal Buzz. It's here's, if you want to add a page, click this and you build the page kind of thing. So you have that same sort of setup to work on these. And there's a viewer where you can take your choice of viewing it as a browser page, as a phone page, and as an iPad page, so that you can go and look and see this is what our site looks like when you're on your phone, on your iPad, on your desktop. So, part of the design process is run through those once before you finalize on something, because what you're looking at may not be what somebody sees, and that could be a little ugly. So it gives you a chance to sort of preview stuff. I suggest people do that. But the pieces that I want to show on here is that we've got pictures going across the top here. All right. Those are just standard things from KI. They will rotate through as we, if I click to this page, it changes the color or changes the thing. I can click to that page, as you just go and choose these different things. And it's just a set of pictures that it randomly kind of goes through. If you don't like any of those for one reason or another, you can take them out of the list. Like Bryce was saying, there is storage out there. These are stored on the site. Everybody gets this sort of set bunch of pictures, and then you can add your pictures. Now, of course, you got to format them so they'll look good going across the page, but you can put your own in. You can have it not be randomized, that kind of stuff. So at the top, you've got this stuff. You can see Facebook, Twitter, Instagram links. When you first get the template that you build it out from, those go to the Kiwanis International links. You can modify those to go to your club link. But if I click any of those, that actually takes me to those sites. So I would leave my site, go to Facebook, leave my site, go to Twitter. And so then the other thing to notice is down the right-hand side, most of the stuff, it hasn't updated from my post today. Most of the stuff going down here, I've got this, our site connected to 3 different Facebook pages, so that any activity on that gets put up on our site. Now, obviously, Kiwanis Miracle League at Prospect Meadows, they post a lot of stuff. So that keeps that going. I don't know if we got anything down here further. I think they're probably all them. But as soon as you put a Facebook post out on the site that you, or on one of the pages that you've linked to your website, that will show up here. You can set times on the thing. I think I don't have it update very often because that just increases a lot of traffic unless you're constantly throwing stuff out there. It's probably okay if it takes a few hours to show up. But I've got a series of 3. It was that and the pediatric trauma kit. I should probably drop that one because we're done with that project. But so in the meantime, a lot of the other stuff on here is just kind of stuff that doesn't change that much. I go out and I touch this. I actually touch the site 2, maybe 3 times a year. When this barbecue rendezvous gets going and gets close, then I'm on it a little more and maybe changing things here. But otherwise, I just kind of let Facebook keep things fresh for people. Basically, it's just the information that you put on your website. If you put stuff on your website, it's really there for just informational purposes for the most part. It will, people can come here and look stuff up, but I think a lot of people are looking at Facebook for, hey, what happened today kind of thing.
Hey, Byron, I have a question. I'm going to back up a moment, and maybe
Sure.
Bryce needs to chime in. But you were talking about, the GoDaddy domains, and some clubs have their own domain. Our club, we always operated off the Kiwanis1.org and was hosted by Kiwanis. Since this site says K number site.kiwanis.org, will these sites still be hosted by Kiwanis if we don't have our own domain?
Yeah, it's always this. The domain name is only there to give your club a user-friendly name.
But I guess
But Ron,
go ahead, Bryce.
sorry, Ron. You bring up a good point. If you have a Kiwanis1.org domain as part of your website that you have through Portal Buzz, that URL will cease to exist come March 1st. So clubs that just have that domain, that don't have a shortened one, like, Kiwanis Club of Main Street.org or something like that, you will want to register a new domain that doesn't have the Kiwanis1 structure to it. Now you could take the one out of there. You could make it something that's similar to that. And I've heard of clubs running into that problem where they their identity is, let's say it's Alpina Kiwanis1.org or something like that. They're having to register a new domain that's maybe shorter, alpinakiwanis.org, taking out the one as part of it. But whether you register a new domain or not, just like Byron said, yes, when we spin up a site for you, at the very least, it's going to have a domain that says, your club number.site.kiwanis.org. So it's not the most memorable one. So that's why clubs get kind of vanity URLs as part of that. But that is an important aspect of it.
But that will continue to exist. So technically you could use the K number site.kiwanis.org and not have to have a domain.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yep, absolutely. If you want to keep it, you don't want anything else kind of redirecting to it, that's certainly fine.
Sure.
I think domain registration, from what I've heard, is usually, $15 to $20 a year, maybe.
Right.
So it's a somewhat minimal cost, but if the club wants to jettison that, they certainly can.
Yeah. A lot cheaper than Portal Buzz. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So yeah, our free website, if you want to have like you said, a vanity name, that'd, cost you 10 to 30 bucks, depending on where you get it.
So I have a question on this. On this
Sure.
setup. So this is a WordPress platform. Is it an extension of the existing WordPress.com platform, or is it a congregational setup in terms of just provisioning off of a main system of additional in other words, I could
Right.
just provision it from an internal
Good
structure.
question, because I get the emails when you guys sign up to get one of these sites. I get an email that says, oh, here comes, this club, this contact info. And one of the questions you get to answer is whether you've got a WordPress experience. And when they say none or little, I'm like, good. Because if you're like proficient in it, since we are sharing the server at Kiwanis International, they don't have what you would say is a full set of golf clubs in the bag.
So
Right?
so the administration part in the back end of it, it's not, you don't have a full administration like you would if you own the WordPress site yourself. Correct. Okay.
That's probably correct.
So-
So if
so
you've
the-
got some fun little quirky tools that'll make elves dance across the screen or whatever, that's not going to happen. All right, because that if you add that overhead to your site, you're adding that overhead to everybody's site, and they're trying to minimize that. I don't know if I might have a talk with them in Denver.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I guess the thing is here. So on the right side there where you showed your Facebook post, that's a WordPress widget. Is that just part of the template that just comes with it? You get this one template.
Yes.
This is the one you do, and then this is how you get. Okay. So when they're
Yeah,
going,
they
in
have interfaces to Facebook and Google Calendar. You can get some things through the Gravity forms. So
Yeah. Understood. So the question I have is that how do they go in and set the appropriate settings for the Facebook? Do they have to go to you to do it, or do they have the admin capability to go in and do it themselves?
we have modules, training modules that go through and go step by step and show you how to do that.
Okay.
When I did it, it was gruesome to say the least, but I got on early because bills were coming due on our other sites. I'm like, I got to get off this, and
Right.
and
No, good.
so I was out there whacking through the weeds to start with. I have a feeling, since I've set it up, and Bryce, maybe you can help me with this, is that the Facebook interface has gotten easier. I think the last time somebody explained how to do that, is like, wait, that's half of what we did before. But I don't know. Is that true, Bryce, or am I imagining that?
Well, wait till
No,
the next
it's-
update. Wait till the next update, and then I'll screw with you again.
Yeah,
that
that is certainly
happens.
true. MJ, to both your points, and Byron, as you mentioned, it is easier, I think, or well, not knowing kind of Byron what you experienced when you first did it. It's fairly easy now, enough that we can show clubs how to do it with a couple of screenshots. So in the chat, I just put a link to the wiki training site. If you look at module number 7 on that, it talks about how to integrate your Facebook. And it just requires you to go in the back, and you do have access to the settings for the Facebook feed plugin that we have enabled for everybody. Just requires you to go in and put in your page ID in a couple of places, and also set an access token as well. But again, it'll take you through the specifics of that. So it should hopefully be fairly easy to do.
Yeah, you don't need me, but you do need your Facebook page administrator to generate that token.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And make sure that you can copy and paste that, because it's like 150 characters gibberish.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I understand. So I haven't really shared much of my background. So I've been doing software engineering for 40 years, and I'm very much into the full stack development, and I do architecture work on a lot of this work, a lot of these websites for large companies. So this is nothing that's new to me. What I'm trying to make sure I understand is from a perspective of what's available to us. Is the admin side of this house, is it crippled? In other words, only has a certain set of features to show, as opposed to a full gamut of WordPress capabilities. because the question was asked in the chat was one I was going to ask as well, is changing themes and installing plugins. There may be features and capabilities that some has. Are those available? Are we, if we're not available to do that, so it's a crippled admin, it only shows us what we can modify, not
Right.
but not necessarily
right.
all the features in the WordPress administrative.
So yeah, if you've got a favorite plugin or something that you want, unless it's common enough that the guys at KI have turned that on for us and installed it. They're very judicious about the things that they hand out to us. So
No, it's completely understandable, right? You don't want to have just any type of plugin or any type of thing that hasn't been on a system that could cause an issue in the back end. You don't want to create those kind of things.
So
absolutely.
you can request, and I suggest you request when you find something that you think will be useful. And if we get enough requests for those, then they'll probably say, okay, it's worth the overhead to turn it on. So
I just this is Mark Skolnick in Lincoln stuff. I just downloaded over the weekend a upgrade to the calendars, and I'm not sure how I can pull that upgrade into the WordPress. I'm not sure that it's configured for me, even though it shows upgrade to premium now. I'm not sure if I can actually upgrade the version of that tool set in WordPress as it's configured. I don't know, Bryce, if you can confirm that or not.
It's likely that you can't, Mark. I imagine that it probably did allow you to sign up for the premium version, but let's take, for example, Gravity Forms, which I talked about before. We actually, because we want to leverage that piece a little bit more, we have signed up for the premium version of Gravity Forms, and then that extends to everybody. Just as MJ was talking about, you're certainly right. It's a multi-site tenant that we're running as part of it. So KI retains the architecture underneath, and then we're provisioning sites off of that. And that does limit the abilities that clubs will have from a customization standpoint. So plugins, they have to go through a vetting process with us, and that includes the premium versions of them as well. So because they're an additional feature as part of it. And again, there are reasons. It seems like everybody kind of understands the need for that, but just as it was mentioned, we want to make sure that plugins that do get installed, because they're going to impact everybody's site, we don't want to crash 900 club sites because we didn't do a good job of vetting something. And those plugins have to work within the multi-site tenant that we're running. They have to be secure and stable, and we want them to be supported well as well. We don't want to install a plugin and then there be an issue and it be provided by a developer that doesn't support that plugin very well. And so we do restrict plugin access, whether it's kind of the basic version of it or the premium version of it, but that's so that we can make sure that the performance across the board for everybody is consistent.
Right. So each of us on this call, there's 38 of us on the call. If each of us decides we like this little plugin, and big deal, the plugin adds like 1 second to the time that it loads up or whatever. Well, if we turn them all on, that just took a half a minute to load the page up. So they have to kind of balance act with that. And so if you aren't in love with WordPress or have a big background in it, you probably won't even notice. You'll just take the tools that are there to put together the things that you want. If you're like MJ, you've got a lot of experience with it or whatever, you might chafe at the fact that something that you seem like just a gotta have sort of thing isn't there. So I've seen those questions go back and forth on things, but that's why we're being sort of selfish with what we turn on, is just to make sure that, because what we do to one of us, we do to all of us.
My experience with social media, in particular, Facebook, X, or even Instagram, when you, like in our radio stations, we plug them into our website, and oftentimes Facebook, we use social developers.facebook.com, social plug in, and oftentimes you'll pop up the page and then that thing is just spinning, waiting for data, and it's often interrupted. I don't think there's a perfect one. I often think that the best thing you can do when it comes to social media, in many cases, is just to link it directly to your page. Because
Which is one, the link at the top will take you there, but you have to click on that, and then it leaves your page and takes you to Facebook.
Right.
And so, there's kind of that rule that don't ever drive people off your page sort of thing. Also,
well, yeah, you could always open another tab, I guess, but
you've got that, but it's really, I prescribe to the lazier you let people be, the more they'll see, right? So if you've got your Facebook just right there, they don't have to actually, let's see what's going on Facebook. No, they'll see pictures of little kids having fun and whatnot,
Yeah, but
does
then
better
when
sales.
it's blank, they see nothing. And right now I'm trying it, and all I get is a blank rotating icon. So, and standard practice anymore. And then, when they decide that they're going to update the code, no one's talking to each other. And that happens probably monthly.
Yeah, I remember, and I don't know, Bryce might be able to back me up on this. So one time, a couple of times things have broken, but they get on it right away and get it fixed.
Hey, Byron, can we take just a small step back? We've got a lot of discussion going on right now as far as, okay, hey, once you're set up and how to get going. But we did have a question a while back about, hey, we want to get started. What's the best way? Bryce put in chat that link for the interest form and everything like that. But once a club does say, yes, we want to go with WordPress, and I know you and I talked about this, what's the best way for them to get started? I know you had told me that you're willing to do some Zoom sessions to start off too. Can you kind of tell us how you've modeled that in the past?
Yeah, so like I was saying, that you do get, when you sign up for the page and they spin up your template, it sends me an email. I get your email address or whoever the webmaster is, and I will reach out and try to schedule a Zoom meeting. Normally the first one takes like 45 minutes, where I talk about all of the lessons that I learned going through and sort of clearing the path for us. I've been advising people to play around with the site that you're given, because if you screw it up, mess it up, whatever, you can throw it away and have them just regenerate another template. And our site looks a lot like the template. What they get is you just get text in here and the pictures over there and a few menu choices and whatnot, kind of an outline of a skeleton of a website. You can go in and play with that and make sure you get a good feel for how particular things work, and do some experimenting around with what the forums can give you and different things, and then just ask for another copy, and then go in and actually put the work in to actually get your site looking like you think you need it. But play around with the menus, the forms, whatnot, so you're not experimenting, because the first time I went in, I got quite a ways into everything and then realized I totally messed something up and there was just no getting out of it. And I just had to flush all that work and start. This is actually the third generation of me trying to get the site. So hopefully I can cut that down to 2. And if you know that the first one's going to be a throwaway, you don't spend a lot of time on it. Use the first one as a sandbox to learn how to do things. Then make sure everybody knows where the training videos are, understanding you don't get plugins at a whim, different stuff like that we've kind of touched on a little bit today, and then answer questions. And but I've done that a couple of times to people that had converted over. And then when Portal Buzz announced it. Now, instead of a couple times a year, I'm doing it a couple of times a week kind of thing. So, we will find out. I will reach out to you. We'll get you on a Zoom. It might be with 2 or 3 other clubs. It won't be as many people as we have out here now, but kind of to give you that little kick to get going and not be scared of going in and trying things. And then it's a matter of fielding questions. If you need to have more help, you can come back, but the training videos do a really good job for the most part. And it's been a long time since I've been on Portal Buzz, but it seems similar. Like, okay, here, create a text box, and this, it's called paragraph or something, so it's kind of the same thing. You just got building blocks and you move them around. And so I just try to give everybody a little jump start on how to get going. Cause I mean, I'm not a WordPress guru. So I did not come at it from the side of, oh, where's this? Where's this? Where's this? I lost one fun thing that I could do in Portal Buzz is there's a little marquee scroller bar that you could have run across the screen. And I had to give that up. I had that on our Portal Buzz site because of going and just do the HTML to make that happen. And I couldn't make that happen. So that's the only, oh crap, sort of thing that I ran into. But yeah, the training's good. The Facebook thing was obviously the most challenging thing. That was very complicated to start with. I think that has gotten much easier to do now because, boy, it was just, it's like threading a needle with a blindfold on. You knew it was out there someplace, and unless you hit it perfectly, you weren't getting it. Now they have at least taken the blindfold off. So that helps. But as far as, and then just going over suggestions for the back office stuff. We use Sign Up Genius, like I said, Gmail and the Google Calendar. Make sure you just create one for your club. Make sure that it's more than you that have the credentials to get into it in case you get hit by a bus kind of thing. That kind of stuff to help you get going. But any clubs that really, really, really use Portal Buzz to the fullest extent available, yeah, you're going to have to reinvent the wheel on a few things. So, but, my 20-person club, spending $200 on a website for all the bells and whistles that we never use just wasn't worth it for us.
I have a couple questions on the long-term stuff when you get a chance. If everybody else wants to ask their questions first, but I wanted to ask on some of the long-term, but based on the comparison chart that was sent across.
Anybody else?
Questions?
All right, Bryce, answer his questions. Oh,
I'm curious. I've got 2 Portal Buzz sites, one for a Kiwanis club, one for another club to deal with. And I'm looking at Google Workspace and Club Express and Club Runner. And we've got a good look at the website at Squarespace. Is anybody else evaluating alternatives?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Was it just Mr. Reed?
Yeah.
No, I am too, Keith. I'm evaluating an alternative as well for our club.
What are you looking at?
We are actually we're gonna do a custom build. Since I have skills to be able to build custom work is what I'm looking at, but I'm looking at doing it as a repeatable kind of thing to share with other clubs on what we're doing. So it's gonna be a framework, but it's gonna have a WordPress base to it. So that's what I'm looking at the moment.
My experience, I've had 2 groups that I've had with WordPress, and I've never gotten very far into it because I found it's way too complicated for most people in the clubs to help maintain the website. And Portal Buzz was very good that way because we've had 7 or 8 people in the club that have been able to update announcements and stuff. So I'm going to be looking at alternatives to WordPress, which is, as far as I'm concerned, they make enough changes that break it. I'd consider it an unstable product. So, and I've spent like Mr. Rodriguez, I've spent 30 to 40 years working in this field. I started out designing computers. So It's,
What was the
I've
other?
got a lot of experience in computer systems.
What were the two systems you were evaluating? So just so I'll go take a look. What were
I
the
was
two?
looking at, well, there's Club Express, which is reasonably, seems pretty reasonable. Our club would be $30 a month. They hit you with a upfront fee.
Yeah.
Google Workspace, I don't know much. I've never been a Google fan, so I don't know much about it. I don't know if it can be used without a lot of expense.
Yep.
Squarespace, we have one club that is using as a website.
Mhm.
And the person doing that, I haven't been involved, is ecstatic about how good Squarespace is as a website. And then there's Club Runner, which I've looked at, and it looked to me like it was on the expensive side.
Yeah.
They may all turn out to be that way once they get done with the nickels and the dimes.
I had used Club Runner back before Portal Buzz ever came out, and it wasn't near as expensive as it is now.
I didn't catch who that was.
Kurt Rice.
Kurt, okay.
Club
Well-
Runner is actually a product put out by Rotary. It was designed for Rotary clubs.
Yeah, the thing I've latched onto with Club Express is it's put out by a company that runs several products, including an emailer and things like that. So I don't know who's behind Portal Buzz. I've never been able to figure it out, but it looks like it was a garage operation.
It's Apple.
Bryce, you want to give him the history?
Wasn't Club
It's
Resource?
currently owned by a company called Aplos.
Yeah.
Software.
So
There's
a guy that worked for KI wrote the thing, sold it to Aplos,
Yeah.
and then they decided to try to monetize it more than we were ready to pay him. Smith,
Actually, Mark
Steve
Smith.
Smith, is that the guy's name? I'm trying. That seems to stick in my head.
Actually, Mark Smith designed the software and sold it to KI because his wife was a secretary and he was observing all of the stuff she was happened to report. So he designed that software as a reporting option.
There you go.
It's got a lot of nice capability, but it seems to have very antique architecture underneath it.
It does. All right, so my question real quick, Bryce, on this one here from a long standpoint. So I was looking at the platform feature comparison there. One thing that our club is extremely interested in is the event management component. Partly maybe because we have a large number of members. I mean, we've got over 100 members in our club, so we've got a lot to think through. But when it comes to donation forms, event management, the Kiwanis Engage does not show, shows those capabilities don't exist, but it will exist on the WordPress side. Is there anything from the standpoint of integrating those two where the WordPress can be able to access data from there to be able to build things out with, to build features and capability system, or is it just sort of like a in a discussion kind of thing, and they're just evaluating what
think it's
capabilities
probably
might
the
be?
latter end, James.
Oh my
You know,
God.
currently, what we're looking at is launching with obviously the capabilities you can do through the current reporting site, but also some of these enhanced features that you could do in Portal Buzz that you can't do in our reporting site now. So that's not to say that there won't be some integration on down the road, but it's certainly not a phase one piece as part of that. And so that's why we kept it kind of out of there. As you know, when we talk about long term, we're talking probably 8 to 9 months within this period of time. So it's a good question though.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I'm saying it is because that might solve the email issue, because we use email extensively, the ability to blast emails out from our side. So that's one of the reasons we're going with looking at a separate option, only from the standpoint of that we can add some capabilities. And the other one was a custom application to tie into it for things like event planning and event management. So that's not a phase one on my calendar. That's actually more of a phase 3, phase 4 kind of thing. But before that can happen, I have to be able to get data into the system to be able to use it. And since there isn't any connection between the two at the moment, I was just trying to figure out what the timeline might be to see if it's worth the effort for me to try something, or if it's going to be some sort of workaround in the interim, so that we can at least have be able to users be able to go in and manage. So that's
a lot of clubs that I've talked to, because of that window, they don't want to go whole hog and create something that's going to take care of everything. So from an email communication standpoint, what a lot of clubs that I've talked to are looking at, and some of them were already doing this with, even though they had Portal Buzz, was using third-party programs like Constant Contact, MailChimp, Brevo, some of these out-of-the-box ones that you could upload a subscriber list to and then blow out your emails that way. Some of those have a low cost. I think there are one or two that are free or have free versions. And so that will tide them over until they've got more robust features in Engage.
That's it. That's all I had.
Sounds like the thing that I'm hearing, we're going to have what I would consider power users. All right. People that really know what they're doing and are willing to tear into these things and get stuff. But I don't want to scare off the people that, they kind of know a little bit about things and whatnot. I think this is a fairly simple enough thing. Even though I've got a computer background, it was nothing with the web. I knew a little bit about HTML, that kind of stuff, and was still able to go in there, work with the building blocks, and put that site together. So I just don't want the fact that we're talking about some pretty heavy stuff and investigating other systems and whatnot. This is going to be a pretty easy one, and it's free. So, but if you don't have a lot of experience, I would try to get on it right away, because the end of February will get here quicker than you think. So unless you're willing to work on this straight through, took me a couple of weeks. Of course, I ran down a lot of dead ends, but it took me a couple of weeks to really come up with something and put a fair amount of work into it. So, plan ahead. The fact that you're on this tonight is good.
I would say, putting on my consulting hat, Byron, I would agree with you. If you're a club that just wants to get off the ground, use what KI is offering you. This would be a best chance for you to get started and get in there. Options are obviously going to change, and then features are going to come out. You can evaluate further down the line, but I say if you're looking for a web presence, use what KI here. It looks like it'll be more than enough for most folks to be able to put to manage a web presence. So yeah, agree.
Right. And the other comment that I've got is Lisa put my wrong address in the comments. So
sorry, Byron, that was your old address. Yeah.
That email still works, but for how long, I don't know. So I put my real one down in the chat box. So if you want to reach out to me that way, use the Gmail account.
I can just address a couple last things. Keith, I hear you in regards to your feedback on past WordPress experience and things like that. Hopefully, the way that we have it set up with these being provisioned off of our own site has hopefully minimized the learning curve for clubs to set up their web pages. Obviously, it's going to be, your mileage may vary depending on the person. So if you have somebody that's not comfortable with technology, which you aren't one of those people, obviously you've had extensive experience with it, but we hope that we've created it well enough so that the average person coming into it can set up the website fairly easy. I would say whatever direction your clubs decide to go, and certainly you'll each have to make that decision depending on what's best for your club. You'll want to make sure that you at the very least download all of your file assets from your Portal Buzz site before March 1st. After February 29th, you will not be able to access that information anymore. So you can do that one of two ways. Portal Buzz has actually installed a export all button on the documents page of your Portal Buzz site, where you can just go in and export all of the files that you have stored there. Or you can email Portal Buzz at support@portalbuzz.com and ask them for a download, and they will send you a zip file with all the information in it. So again, no matter what way you go, or if you're ready by February 29th, at least offload that data or those files into a local file so that you have them and can work with them past that period of time. So
There's
good
not enough
reminder.
information in the chat, has there not, so that I can set up a site and try out this solution? If I set one up, does it go live immediately, or do you get to set it up temporarily and then say go live?
you don't.
It is live in
Published.
It is live in the fact that K15 blah 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 .site.kiwanis.org is on the web. All right. But the thing is, nobody knows what it is. Nobody knows how to get to it without actually just typing that in. So even though it is live, it's not really broadcast to the world unless they know exactly where to go look.
Is Google crawling it? Even if it's temporary?
I would think
Show
it
up in
probably
Google
would.
search?
I think it probably would. I don't know, but the fact that it's not really along any like main highway, yeah, it probably will crawl it. But
so the temporary site may show up in Google search. We better not put too many derogatory comments in it.
Yeah, don't get too lippy.
If you make a good point,
no calling your crosstown rivals names in the Kiwanis world, right?
But the crosstown rivals are called Lions, aren't they?
No, yeah, okay.
If you make a good point,
we make a joke that in the city park in Marion, they've got an old cannon and it's pointed at Cedar Rapids.
Bryce,
how complimentary.
No, I was just going to say to Keith's point, even if your club is slightly interested or you'd like to just check it out, go ahead and fill out a form and let us spin up a site for you. These sites are very inexpensive for KI to start and maintain, like under $1 for us to run. So if you'd just like to do it and see what it looks like, go ahead and fill out that form that I put in the chat and let us, or talk to Byron and we can set up one for you. I would say if you decide ultimately not to go with it, let us know so that we can shut it down, obviously.
Spin it down. What's the support profile? What's the support profile on this? Is it got help available if something breaks 24/7, 365?
It would be KI staff. So I and the others in the IT staff would help with that. I like to think that we're pretty responsive, especially as this has become a huge commitment with the Portal Buzz announcement. So I would say you should have a response within 12 hours.
Okay, because that was one of the problems with Portal Buzz. One of the problems with Portal Buzz, if something broke on a weekend, you were out of luck getting it fixed.
Sure.
Okay.
Andy, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. When I fill out the form, do I have to have specific all the information to get started? Or if I give you some basic information, for instance, if I start out as the webmaster, if we have somebody else in the club that's interested in being that, how tough is it to change people or give you information on new people that can access and change things?
Yeah, that's just reaching out to KI, right, Bryce? I mean, you just email those guys, say I need to add this person to the login.
But can't you add administrators inside of the?
Can you hear me? I changed my microphone. I think I was having a hard time with.
Now you are. We can hear you now.
Okay, good. Actually, Andy, you would have the ability once whoever is set up initially as the administrator, the web administrator, you will have the ability to add users with different permission sets. So there's a contributor, a subscriber. You can make somebody an administrator, and that's probably a good thing to bring up is you will be asked for one individual person to set up as the point person, but we don't expect you to do everything. And probably one of the best things to do when you first start out is go and set up some other users as well. Not a lot, but a couple of others, just in case you get hit by that beer truck, like MJ said, or you win the lottery or something like that. It's never good to have all your eggs in one basket. So go ahead and give a couple of other individuals administrator access as well. But you can do all of that yourself. You'll have the ability to add new users. We can certainly do it for you, but that is one of the administrative abilities that you have, is to set users and set capability roles for them.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Okay, so my inbox is going to be like overflowing tomorrow. Is that? But no, reach out. Yeah, like I said, if nothing else, just give it a try. Like I said, I threw mine away twice before I came up with the one that we actually use. So, if you don't think it's getting what you need, then, find something else. I just have a hard time passing up free.
The question that kept coming into my office here too was, as we talked, what about that other stuff on email and sign up and those kind of things? And again, I will make who's on tonight the list of contact available to you now. And if you try something, if it's MailChimp or Constant Contact or Google or Gmail and it's not working, you want to reach out to me or others on and say, hey, what are you using? We can certainly make those resources available. Because tried and true is sometimes the best way to go, hey, what really does work? And what might work for one club might not work for another. So we'll get you some options.
Exactly.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, Byron, I'm signed up, so I'm waiting for your response. So
Okay. Well, you check my email.
Okay. Well, if there is nothing else, I just want to thank you all for your investment of time again this evening and your commitment to your club, to making sure you've got that digital presence and everything that's out there and knowing what the options are. I hope tonight was useful. Thank you very much for Ron being on, for Byron and your expertise, what you've picked up experience with WordPress, and of course with Bryce. Thank you so much for joining this evening. As far as a go-to guy, Bryce is my guy, so I appreciate your time this evening. So
Yeah, thanks, Bryce.
I appreciate you allowing me to participate.
All right. With that, we will conclude this evening. You've got our contact information, and I'll send out a follow-up email. And have a good rest of the evening and happy holidays, happy and safe holidays.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, thanks. See ya.
Take care.
Bye.